It is just before dawn in Kyoto, and you are sitting on a wooden veranda, worn smooth by 400 years of visitors. In front of you is one of the most famous gardens in the world. It has no flowers. It has no pond, no stream, no trees inside its walls. There is only a rectangle of pale gravel, raked into careful lines, and 15 rough stones resting on small islands of moss. This is the rock garden of Ryoanji. And here is the strange thing about it. Wherever you choose to sit along this veranda, you will only ever be able to count 14 of the 15 stones. One is always hidden. Move, and a new one vanishes. You are looking at a garden that has been quietly refusing to be fully seen for 500 years. Most visitors arrive expecting a garden in the ordinary sense. They picture cherry blossom and koi ponds, wisteria hanging over water, the lush green of a Japanese landscape. What they find instead can be a shock. There is nothing growing here that we would normally call a garden. No blossom to photograph, no water to cool the air, no shade to sit under on a hot afternoon. Just gravel and stone and a low earthen wall. People sit down, wait for something to happen, and quietly wonder if they are missing the point. And in a way, they are, because they are looking at a garden that was never designed to grow anything. It was designed to do something else entirely. To understand what, we have to learn a new way of reading the ground in front of us. The style has a name, karesansui, which means, quite literally, dry mountain water. It is a garden with no water in it at all, and yet water is everywhere, if you know how to see it. The raked gravel is not gravel. It is the sea, or a river, or the empty air of a vast valley. Those lines combed into it are not decoration. They are ripples, currents, the wake around an island. And the stones set into that gravel are not stones. They are mountains or islands rising from the ocean, or the peaks of a range seen from far above. A dry garden is a landscape painting made of real materials, a whole world of water and mountains, compressed into a courtyard, and asking to be read rather than merely walked through. To understand why such a garden exists, we go back to the arrival of Zen. In the 12th and 13th centuries, during Japan's Kamakura period, a new form of Buddhism took root, carried over from China. Where older Buddhism leaned on elaborate ritual and scripture, Zen placed almost everything on one practice: seated meditation. Long hours of stillness, facing a wall, watching the breath, letting the noise of the mind settle. A tradition built on that kind of discipline did not want gardens of pleasure. It did not need lakes for boating parties or flowers for poetry evenings. It wanted spaces that supported concentration, quiet, spare, and undistracting. The dry garden grew out of that need. Not a place to be entertained, but a place to be still. The garden we are sitting in belongs to a particular moment. Ryoanji took shape in the Muromachi period, in the 15th century, an age of both refined culture and terrible violence. In the years around 1467, a civil conflict known as the Onin War tore through Kyoto. Much of the city burned. Temples were destroyed, the capital gutted, the old certainties shaken. And out of that scarcity came a distinctly Japanese sense of beauty, a taste often gathered under the word wabi, the beauty of what is plain, spare, imperfect, and quiet. In a ruined world, less began to feel like more. A garden of nothing but raked stone was not a sign of poverty. It was a sign of a culture learning to find depth in emptiness. So who built these gardens? Often, the temple's own monks. Japan developed a class of designers sometimes called ishitatsu, literally stone-setting priests, monks whose spiritual training included the art of placing rocks. To set a stone well was itself a kind of meditation, a decision that could not be undone. The most celebrated figure in this tradition is Muzo Soseki, a Zen master of the 14th century, remembered as much for the gardens attributed to him as for his teaching. For these men, arranging stone and gravel was not landscaping. It was religious work, a way of expressing, without a single word, what years of sitting in silence had shown them about the shape of the world. The choice of each rock, its weight, its worn face, the exact angle at which it met the gravel, all of it mattered, and none of it could be corrected later. You set the stone once, and lived with it. And yet, for all its fame, Ryoanji keeps its deepest secret well. We do not actually know for certain who designed it, or exactly when, or precisely what it is meant to represent. There is no signed plan, no reliable record of the artist's intention, no plaque on the veranda explaining the correct answer. Scholars still debate it. The temple itself offers no fixed meaning. And this, it turns out, may be the point. In Zen, there is a teaching device called the koan, a riddle with no logical solution, meant to exhaust the reasoning mind until something deeper opens. Ryoanji behaves like a koan made of stone. It gives you a question, magnificently, and then simply refuses to hand you the answer. Return now to that strange fact from the beginning. 15 stones, but never more than 14 in view. The stones are arranged in 5 groups across the gravel, and they are placed so cleverly that from any spot on the veranda, at least one is always concealed behind another. You can walk the whole length of the terrace and never once catch all 15 at the same time. Many people take this as deliberate, a lesson pressed into the design itself. In several strands of Buddhist thought, the number 15 signifies completeness, wholeness, the full moon. To withhold one stone is to say something quiet but firm, that the whole is never available to us, that from any single position, some part of the truth stays hidden. Look closely at the gravel, and you will see the pattern combed into it. Long straight lines running the length of the garden, curving into neat rings around each group of stones. These rake patterns have a name, saman, and they are not permanent. Rain disturbs them, leaves fall on them. So a monk rakes them again, by hand, with a heavy wooden rake, often in the early morning before visitors arrive. Here is the part that is easy to miss. The beautiful finished pattern is almost a byproduct. The real point is the raking itself, the slow, attentive, repeated act of drawing those lines. It is a moving meditation. The garden is not so much a picture to be admired as a practice to be performed over and over, forever. Picture one such morning. A single monk steps onto the gravel in the gray light before the gates open. The garden is silent except for the sound of the rake, a soft, rhythmic drag across the stones. He works slowly, walking backwards, smoothing his own footprints away as he goes, so that the finished surface holds no trace of the person who made it. Line after line, ring after ring. Tomorrow the rain or the wind will undo it, and tomorrow he will do it again. There is no moment when the work is finished for good. There is only this: disturb and restore. Disturb and restore. The garden teaches its lesson first, and most fully, to the one who tends it. But what do the stones actually mean? Over the centuries, people have offered many readings. Some see a tigress carrying her cubs across a river, the stones as the animals mid-crossing, an old story attached to this very garden. Others see islands scattered in a wide sea, or the peaks of mountains rising above a sea of clouds. Others read a crane and a tortoise, ancient emblems of long life. Any of these can be found in the 15 stones, if you look for them. And notice what the temple does not do. It does not tell you which is correct. It leaves the meaning open on purpose, because a garden that hands you one fixed answer stops working the moment you learn it. The uncertainty is not a gap in the design. It is the design. Now lift your eyes past the gravel to the low wall that frames the garden. That wall is worth a second look. It is an old clay wall, and over the centuries the oils within it have seeped and stained the surface into soft, cloudy browns and ambers. A slow, accidental painting made by time itself. The monks did not scrub this away. They kept it, because that weathering is part of the garden's beauty, not a flaw in it. And beyond the wall, treetops and hillsides show above the tiles. Nature borrowed into the composition what Japanese gardeners call borrowed scenery. The garden's edges are not really edges. The living hills outside and the raked stone inside are meant to be read as one continuous picture. Aging and the world beyond the wall are quietly folded into the design, so that the garden is never quite finished and never quite closed. This brings us to the biggest modern misunderstanding of all. Today the word Zen is used to sell calm, spa music, scented candles, the promise of instant relaxation. And a rock garden can certainly feel peaceful, but that was never its true purpose. This garden is not meant to soothe you. It is meant to confront you. Sitting before it, with nothing pretty to distract the eye, you are left alone with your own restless mind. Its chatter, its planning, its endless commentary. The garden gives that mind nothing to feed on. The goal of Zen was never simply to calm the mind. It was to still it completely, to bring the ceaseless inner talk, for one clear moment, to a stop. The garden is a tool for that stopping. It helps to compare it with a very different idea of a garden. Think of the great gardens of Versailles in France. Vast, geometric, overflowing. Endless fountains, clipped hedges, avenues of flowers stretching to the horizon, every plant bent to a human plan. That is a garden of control and abundance, a statement that mankind can command nature and make it magnificent. A Zen dry garden is almost the exact opposite. It does not add, it subtracts. It strips a landscape down to a few stones and a field of raked stone, removing and removing until only the essential is left. Where Versailles fills you with the glory of more, Ryoanji empties you until only a question remains. Two cultures, two gardens, two entirely different ideas of what beauty is for. Ryoanji is the most famous dry garden, but it is not the only voice in this tradition. At Daisen-in, a sub-temple in Kyoto, a garden tells a whole story. Gravel flowing like a mountain river, rushing past rocks, gathering into a wide calm sea, so that walking beside it feels like following the course of a human life from turbulent youth to still old age. Elsewhere, deep green moss gardens carpet the ground in soft, living silence. At Ginkakuji, the Silver Pavilion, monks shape raked sand into a great flat sea, and a perfect cone said to help in viewing the moon. The dry garden is not a single fixed form but a language, and different temples speak it in their own dialects, saying different things with the same few materials. It is worth pausing on how easily all this is lost today. You can buy a miniature Zen garden for your desk, a little tray of white sand, 3 pebbles, and a tiny plastic rake, sold as a 5-minute stress reliever. There is nothing wrong with it, exactly, but notice what has quietly fallen away. The scale that humbles you is gone. The discipline of tending it every single day is gone. The centuries of meditation and loss and belief that stand behind those 15 stones are gone. What remains is the shape of the thing without its substance. A garden turned into a gadget, the practice turned into a product. The real garden asks something of you. The desktop version asks nothing at all and gives about as much. So how should you actually look at a garden like this? Not the way we usually look at anything now. A glance, a photo, a move to the next thing. Try the opposite. Choose one spot on the veranda and sit down. Stay for 15 minutes. Do not try to solve the garden or decide what it means. Simply watch. Watch the rake lines. Watch the shadows of the stones as they lean and shorten with the climbing sun. Watch a leaf drift across the gravel. Nothing will happen, and that is the whole point. The garden does not change. You do. Slowly, the noise in your head thins out, and you begin to see with the quiet attention the garden was built to draw out. It was never a picture to look at. It was always a mirror to sit in front of. And once you can sit like that, the garden begins to teach. It teaches Ma, the Japanese sense that empty space is not nothing, but is itself full of meaning, that the silence between two notes, the gap between two stones, is where much of the beauty actually lives. And it teaches impermanence, that the raked lines will be undone tonight, that nothing holds its shape for long, and that this is not a tragedy, but simply the way of things. If you have followed this series, these ideas should feel familiar. The Torii Gate that marked a threshold between worlds. The water that purified before entering the sacred. Different sights, the same deep root. A way of seeing that treats the unseen, the empty, and the passing as the most important things of all. So we come back to where we started, on the worn veranda before the 15 stones. A garden with no flowers, no water, no shade. A garden that, by any ordinary measure, grows absolutely nothing. And yet that emptiness was the gift all along. Because this garden does grow one thing, patiently, in anyone willing to sit still long enough to receive it. Not blossoms, not fruit. Attention, the simple, rare capacity to be fully here, looking at one thing, with a quiet mind. If that is a kind of beauty you would like to see more of, consider subscribing. This is Sacred Japan, where we look slowly at the country's most familiar sights and find the meaning hidden inside them. Next time, before Japan built temples or raked gardens, it told a story about the sun itself, a goddess who hid in a cave, and the night that nearly never ended. It is Japan's own origin story, how the light came back into the world, and why a mirror, a jewel, and a wild dance still echo through the country today. Until then, notice what the empty spaces in your own day are quietly trying to grow.